Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have the great Chris Jollay of Nova Hoops, and we're going to catch up on the boys' side of the ledger. We'll do the girls next week. We've had a great start to the season, but we've been reminded uh, by Coach Patterson and Patriot that we are within 2 weeks of playoffs, which I can't believe. Chris, does that surprise you that the is going so fast?
It's actually news to me. I mean, you have like the Catoctin District that hasn't even started district play. I mean, now they've only got four teams in there, so they're going to be able to do it in 2.5 weeks. But yeah, that actually shocked me when he wrote that. So I guess we better get our predictions going.
Exactly. He actually wants you to predict the final four for the Class Six, but we're gonna get to that. And I did notice I thought you had a typo on your site because I didn't see any games for the Catoctin. And I'm like, they only have to play 6 games, which means they have 14 non-district games. It's just terrible, guys. We need to do something about that. But let's stay out and loud and let's start by talking about the Broad Run Heritage Showdown. We got to watch that together. Great environment, had a prize fight type environment. Broad Run, led by Ryan Brzezinski, was undefeated coming in. Heritage had only lost to undefeated EC Glass, so and they've been playing tremendous basketball. We knew it was going to be a great game. I don't think any of us thought the Heritage was going to win so easily. What were your thoughts of that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, you covered it. If you had told me Heritage was going to win that game, I would have said, sure, they're a great team. They're an up and coming team still, with a lot of upside. Wouldn't have shocked me at all if you said Heritage had won that game. The way they won that game was stunning. I mean, it was just stunning. You heard the crowd comments behind us. These kids were used to coming in. Broad Run was averaging 77 points per game before this. Their margin of victory, I think the closest one was Freedom, came within 13, I think, or 9 or something like that. Um, to do it like they did it from start to finish. And not only that, Broad Run, came back, made a run in the second half, got it to within 17. They did a great job after halftime. They came out, they weren't hitting anything from deep. So what does a good coach do? What do good players do? You're like, let's take it to the rim. See if we have success doing that. Broad Run started to have success doing that. And every time Heritage answered them, it was something to watch. Mason Miller, we should get some royalties from him. I mean, I know he's a good player, but every time we go to watch Mason Miller, he drops like 20, 25, 27, 29. He's a fantastic player, and obviously Heritage very well coached. But just a shocking result to go on somebody's home floor like that, a good team like Broad Run, and win by 28 was shocking. Now, you know how kids are. If you'll remember last year's regional playoffs, Heritage beat Broad Run in the playoffs, in the regional playoffs by 2 on Broad Run's home floor. Now, again, if that had happened again, I wouldn't have been as shocked. But maybe Heritage starting to get in Broad Run's head a little bit after this.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way the schedule works out. It's going to come down to Broad Run playing either Heritage or Tuscarora in that semifinal game, and the winner of that game will go to the state playoffs. So that's going to become it's going to be a showdown, and Tuscarora will have every ability to beat the Heritage. They're actually a good team. So we haven't seen the last of this matchup. My thoughts of the game. I thought we had a great crew of officials, but they called two, I think, fouls on Brandon Edmonds, the point guard for Broadway, early in the game. He was in and out of foul trouble throughout the first half. I thought that had an effect on Broadway. He's a very effective player. He moves the ball around. He hits the shots. He lost his confidence to play aggressively once he got this second foul. I thought those were big moments. Adam Purdue struggled. He's a consistent scorer, great player. Just couldn't find the basket, which is uncharacteristic of him. And Ryan, I thought played well, was active, But Heritage started a big guy off the bench that guy usually doesn't start. Started a guy who usually doesn't start, and I thought did a really good job on Ryan. He's longer than who probably would have ordinarily guarded him. And I think Heritage had a game plan. I thought Jordan Garland had a tremendous game. He's 6'3", 6'4" junior, very active player. He was active. You mentioned Mason. I thought Dylan Williams, as always, their point guard, was in control. I thought what was interesting was Heritage hit all their shots. They hit all their 10 footers or 5 footers. They never let Broad Run get back into the game. They kept, you mentioned they had that run to get back within 16, but right away went right back up to 23. They just never let any momentum shift. Broad Run had a massive crowd that was there sitting beside us. They never got a chance to really get into the game. So it was a very interesting game. Any response to that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it was a nightmare scenario for Broad Run. I mean, Adam Purdue came out, missed 8 3-pointers. When does that ever happen? I mean, he's one of the best shooters around. And he did the right thing. Like I mentioned, he started attacking the basket and finished in double figures. But yeah, the when Braden, when to Braden, Brandon,
I think it's Brandon. I think.
yeah, it's Brandon. I'm sorry. There were so many Brandons and Bradens.
Yeah,
I
they
got
are.
confused. Yeah, when he went down, it was just a nightmare scenario. I mean, they weren't hitting Broad Run wasn't hitting from outside. The kid it's hard to be aggressive after you pick up 2 fouls, and then when you come back in, you get 3 fouls right away. So the defense probably wasn't where Broad Run wanted it. To be honest, it's a throwaway game. If I was coaching Broad Run, I'd say this is a throwaway game. It just wasn't our night. It didn't happen. We're playing a good team. It didn't happen. Can we beat that good team? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you expect Adam Purdue to miss 8 3-pointers coming out when they play again? No. I mean, so, it's just one of those things. But it really was amazing to watch. I'm glad we got to see it at center court.
Yeah, exactly. Last time, you're right. We were there. We saw we were there together to watch Heritage. We saw Mason Miller light it up in a game where Dylan Williams was hurt, and he played a point guard that night. I guess that was against Tuscarora, I believe, last year. But yeah, I mean, Heritage did a great job. They just never let a Broad Run get a foot into the game, and very impressive. They've got to feel good going back to the district play. And look, again, we can see this matchup again either in the regional semis or the regional finals. So to be continued. Let's get right into updates on the different districts. Let's start with the Liberty District boys, which is the Northern 6D. This district is fascinating. We talked about this at the game the other night. Yorktown's back on top at 6-1. Marshall 5-1 has been consistent all year as they always are. McLean did not start the season well, but started district play on fire. Won the first five. Now they're 5-2. Wakefield, Langley, Herndon have had their moments. Washington Lee, who many think are one of the most talented teams in the district, coached by the great Bob Dobson with, I don't know, 500, 600 wins. They're 1-6 in the district. The Liberty District is truly a fascinating district this year.
Yeah, I mean, you want to pick the regional and the state winners, pick the Liberty District. I mean, just that. You look at the bottom of the district first. Washington Liberty at the bottom of the district. They could win the tournament easily. I think we all agree on that. They're a good team. Now they've got some young pieces that are still, kind of figuring themselves out. But if Coach Dobson can get consistent play from them, they could easily go on a run and win the Liberty tournament. You talk about Herndon, who's tied with Langley for fifth place. Herndon almost won the Mount Vernon tournament. Herndon lost to Garfield, who is a one-loss team right now by 2 points.
That's
You
right.
know, and it's amazing. Herndon got a new coach over there. They've got some talent. And then you look at Langley. Langley could could easily win the district. Langley is all over the place. We've seen Langley score over 100 points this year. Anytime you have an offensive team like that can shoot and put up that many points, they're a threat. Wakefield is a very consistent team, and McLean's already shown it. They went on a run. Jacob Bell for a while there was almost our player of the week, I think last week. He scored, I think 28 points in one win, 29 points in one win. They always play defense. But you look at that district and, the two safest teams are Yorktown and Marshall. Marshall has one loss in the district. That was to McLean by a point. So, it's kind of like, okay, you lost to McLean by a point, but they've been pretty dominant most of their games. They play good defense. Their offense is like clockwork. And Yorktown, I did get to watch Yorktown play WNL the other day. Jake Coulomb put on a show. He's been out a little bit. Now, Yorktown's 13-4. He missed a few games. He can put on a show. What he did, I think it was a low scoring game at halftime, and Coulomb had half of Yorktown's points. He went on a run where he scored six in a row. He's the returning district player of the year. So you have to think Yorktown and Marshall are the, obvious choices and the obvious best teams in that district. But man, I'm going to be there come Liberty District tournament time. I know you are too.
Absolutely. I love the Liberty District. As people know, my son played soccer at Yorktown. Jake Cullum, you're right. He's been fighting injuries to both knees. He's feeling better. If they can get a 90% Jake Cullum back with his ability to shoot, to create, he's a really good defender. That really puts Yorktown up amongst the best teams in the area. Sam Russa and James Davis, two of the best underclassmen in the area. I think Sam probably will be one of the better players in the area next year if he's not already. Just he's aggressive, he's ferocious, he's a good shooter, slashes, and James Davis is a legitimate post player, about 6'5". Yorktown is one of the best teams, and I think they have a chance to go all the way to the state playoffs. Just depends on the seedings in that tricky district. I did want to shout out Trey Leonardo. He continues to impress. Very long kid, finishes, does everything right. Jerry and his cadre of coaches there, they do a great job. I don't know who has more coaches, Marshall or Potomac, but they all do a great job. I did want to Jake Bell for McLean's one of my favorite players. Just tremendous shooter, great kid. And Herndon beat Wakefield in front of a packed house out in Herndon. I'm going to shout out to Austin Hamilton. Langley has some young players, so they're hanging in there. So I think, as you said, Liberty's going to be fun come playoff time. McLean was a 6th seed last year, won the tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington Lee, a 7th seed, has a big chance to do this, as you mentioned, do the same thing. So
Yeah.
it's going to be great. Anything more on Liberty, or should we go on
Well,
to
you
Concord?
you mentioned seeding. It really is important because whoever finished last though has a hell of a road through that tournament
Yeah.
because you're looking at probably Yorktown or Marshall as the 2-7. You have to start the tournament off while one gets a bye. So it's very important these regular season games if you can get that bye and go right into the semifinals, obviously, and be, set up to be in regionals. And then that's the whole other thing. McLean won the tournament last year, got the number 1 seed, and was taken out by the number 4 seed in the Concorde. Seeding is extremely important in the Liberty.
It is. It is important, especially if you can get that 1 seed and you're automatically, because anything can happen on an elimination night. Kids can get tight. So if you can get that 1 seed and get that bye to the regionals, it means so much. Well, let's go to the other northern region district, which is the Concord. This has been a fascinating district. We knew from the start that Westfield was going to be one of the teams to beat in Class 6 for the state title. They did lose one of their starting players for the season, but his younger brother, Malachi, what's his last name there, Chris?
Lee.
yeah, Lee has stepped into that starting role. Westfield's still going to be one of the favorites. I think no one probably suspected that Centerville, who's been playing great, all of a sudden is going to be talked about as being a contender in the region. And Oakton has been a pretty consistent all year long. What are your thoughts about the Concord?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this all day. We're going to talk about just the parity in there. And Centerville looked like terrible to start the season. It looked like they were going to be last place in the district. It kind of looked like that beforehand. But they have good players, but not as much depth, and they came out looking terrible. They look good now. They look very good. They've got great chemistry. They've got guys that understand their roles.
The younger
Uh,
brother, they have the younger brother of the kid that is playing in Roanoke, I believe, right?
Correct, Jackson Davis. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
his
right.
little brother. He's
Right.
killing it.
Mhm.
He's scoring. I mean, he's a great player. I believe a junior guard
Mhm.
now. He can fill it up, and you got kids around him that understand their roles. So they're doing great. They're in third place in the district right now. Oakton is another good team. Oakton I've liked all year. They've had some high profile losses like, in the final of the Lake Braddock tournament, they weren't that competitive in the final against Lake Braddock, which was disappointing, but they're 14-3. They've got a ton of ball handling, a ton of shooters. Bennett White, he fills it up from long, but they've got tons of ball handling and tons of shooting. Lost to Westfield the other night by double digits, but not by much. I think it was like 11 or 13. Very capable, very well coached team with Coach Brooks there. They're looking like they're the two seed there, and would match up in the Liberty with the three seed. They've got a very good chance to be playing for a state tournament berth later on this season. Westfield, yeah. I mean, Westfield's still it. They're number one still in most of the Class 6 rankings. They've got a lot of depth, especially in the backcourt. Now, with the Elder League on, as we assume, they're thinner up front. But his younger brother, like you mentioned, he is a heck of an athlete, a
Mhm.
great football player doing extremely well on the hardwood now that he's got his basketball legs. I think led the team in scoring against Oakton.
Yeah. He's very
Led them.
calm. He's very calm and powerful. I like his vibe when he plays.
Yeah, he's beyond his years capable on
Yeah.
both the basketball court and the football field. Like him, a lot falls now on Will Robinson. They're remaining big. If he continues to play well, Westfield's going to be fine. I mean, I would still, even though there's a lot of good 7-5-7 teams in Class 6 this year and a lot of competition throughout the state. And, of course, a lot of competition throughout Northern Virginia, as usual. I think Westfield will be fine. They've just got so much depth in the backcourt. They've still got Zay Brown and Jamon Price who can fill it up in the backcourt. And then at point guard, either of those kids can play point guard if they have to.
Mhm.
Jamon Price is really a combo guard.
Mhm.
But they have one of the best pure point guards in the area in Colin Stemberger and his little brother behind him. So, I mean, just ample depth in the backcourt and ample depth at point guard still makes them, I think, the, slam dunk, certainly the regional favorite. It's an open question to whether they're still the state title favorites. I would say yes. Resse District South Lakes has been kind of banged up a little bit. They're coming back. Lost to Westfield the other night, and that might have been where Lee led Westfield in scoring. I can't remember.
Mhm.
But South Lakes is a solid team that's going to play defense. And Madison is winless in the district. They're in last place. They also beat McLean to fire off regionals last year. So everybody's still they lost 50-48 to Oakton. the other night in a great game. They had two shots to tie and win at the end of the game. So, Madison is extremely capable of winning or upsetting someone. The disappointment so far has been Chantilly, who we both kind of recognized as a sleeper team. Now, they've had some injuries too. Now they've shown what they can do when they're healthy and playing well. They have some good wins. They've beaten Seton. I forget. They have another other good win. They don't have a lot of depth, so they got to be, pretty much injury free. But they've still got potential. So this is a fun district. We talked about it before the year. It's known as a football district, but hey, we're getting some basketball state titles in this district.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do think this is another district where the first round of districts is going to be very tricky because that's the game. If you win, you're automatically in regionals, and you'll have two byes. So as of today, it would be Oakton and Westfield, but Centerville is streaking. But that 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 is going to be very tricky. You did mention Stenberger, Price, Isaiah Brown, Will Robinson. We mentioned we mentioned Malachi Lee, but yeah, Jamon Price. I saw him a performance he put on against Patriot this year that was just elite. So that
yeah,
is just
don't make him mad. Can I just tell all the kids watching this, don't talk to him, don't during the game, don't rile him up because he's gonna drop 30 on you if you
yeah.
do.
Yeah, exactly. I do think my initial prediction, if Coach Patterson from Patriot is listening, um, Lansdowne had a 15-point lead over Petersburg in that game. They lost. I've seen them play online. To me, Lansdowne is maybe the favorite at this point in the state, but this Westfield team is deep and talented. Not as deep as they could have been, but deep, talented, and who knows? Well, let's go to the Patriot District, which is in the Occoquan region, 6C. This is wide open. Lake Braddock, who was streaking early, is now 4-4, and we have four 6-2 teams, and they seem to take turns beating each other. We have South County, Woodson, West Springfield. Where'd they come from? And West Potomac, and who we know will be ready by postseason.
Yeah, I mean, pick that one now. That's the one. Go ahead and pick the Occoquan region. Who's going to win that?
Yeah.
You want to start in the Patriot District
Yeah, we'll
there?
start Patriot with SoCo, Woodson, West Springfield, and West Potomac, all at 6-2.
Well, you got a four-way tie atop the district. Let's start there. Where talk about seeding being important, 1 through 4. You're looking at if you finish fourth, a first round game, maybe with Lake Braddock in the tournament, which is a tough assignment.
Yeah.
You're looking at the 1 seed and the 2 seed having a lot easier path. Surprises there, certainly West Springfield. They're 9-8 overall. Now the district doesn't have a dominant team this year. It certainly you can debate whether it's strong or weak. It's still a good district. It's definitely not as dominant as it has been in the past. West Springfield is a good team at 6-2. We talked about Oakton, teams that have a team that has a lot of ball handling and shooting. West Springfield has a lot of ball handling
Hmm.
and shooting. There's a kid, Heaton, who's a senior guard, and they have a lot of seniors who can just fill it up. Mr. Clutch. They've got a lot of clutch players that, man, I don't know in the last 2 years how many game-ending West Springfield highlights I've shown. Um, a ton of them. And they're a team that can, it wouldn't surprise me again. And this partially goes to how our game is now with the 3-point shot and all that. Are you hitting the 3-point shot? Broad Run wasn't hitting the 3-point shot the
Right.
other night. West Springfield's kind of like that. Friday night they played Alexandria City, who is in tied for last place in the district, and they won in overtime. So, they squeaked by Alexandria City, but they're giving some of these good teams a game. Now, Lake Braddock, I've been high on all year because of Nate McComb. They have a center who is just an automatic rock in the middle, a double-double guy who can run the floor, he can pass, he does a little bit of everything, and they have shooters around him. A guy by the name of Brooke Antenna it can hit 3-pointers. So that inside outside 3-point game. Problem is, if you're coming from the 5 seed now, you're going up against, it's a tough road in the
But
Occoquan.
Chris, sometimes the Occoquan they do this double buy thing. I'm not sure if they're
Yeah.
doing it. I don't know if they're doing it this year.
Yeah, I never know. I've stopped asking because they just change it in some regional or district meeting and they don't tell anybody.
It's
So,
terrible.
I look and see what we get. I think it's still the same as last year. So, I'm not going to go ahead and go into the region. It's too early to do that. And the national district's kind of chaotic, is a little more chaotic than normal as well.
Yeah.
But it's a good district. Do you go with West Potomac, who is clutch in the postseason? Coach Houston has them winning postseason games every year. He could probably take the JV team and have them play good defense and be a threat in the postseason. Not that they have JV caliber players there. They have many good players, including an experienced backcourt. Woodson and South County. Okay, so they played the other night. I had a buddy say, "Hey, should I go see Woodson South County while we were at Broad Run?" I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely. Go see, South County at Woodson because that's going to be a good game." I said, "Could be 48-46." I don't know what tempo they're going to play. It turned out they played at a much higher tempo. South County came out in that game and took a lead, a big lead, scored a lot of points, and then Woodson shut them down in the second half. Took them out, avenged an earlier loss in the season. The safer bets, obviously, are Doug Craig at Woodson and Coach Robinson at South County. South County is the most talented roster-wise in this district. The question is though, they've gone through stretches where they don't score, and they've gone through stretches where they're inconsistent, and they haven't shown they can be consistent, especially on the offensive end. So that's trouble in this region and this district where you have so many good teams. But I mean, I think, I'll end it and we can go into predictions in a minute. I need to, you know, formulate them still. But South County, I think, is the most talented team. I think Woodson, at the start of the year, we knew this was going to happen. We knew Woodson was going to take some lumps at the start of the year. They've got a lot of experience now and a lot of battle-tested players. If you look at Woodson's box scores, they usually have a guy that gets hot, different guy every night. Not just Ryan Coralla, too. You have a lot of guys stepping up. Conklin in the backcourt has looked great. Obviously, there are a lot of Conklins and a lot of basketball experience over in the Woodson district. So Woodson is a team that had upside coming into the season, and I think they still have the most upside. So I don't know how you want to forecast it. I'm interested to hear what you have to say on this one, Julie.
Yeah, I mean, you basically said what I was going to say. You did a great job of summing that up. I think South County, Johnny Anderson, Coach Robinson's done a great job. Very athletic team. They defend. Woodson is one of the best teams that I've seen this year. They haven't been perfect, and they've had their ups and downs, as you mentioned, because they did graduate almost everything from last year. But the three guards, Ryan Carvalho, Brady Conklin is playing well. Out of nowhere, he's also a great soccer player. And Stephen Marich or whatever,
Mayernick.
Marinick, great
Mayernick,
shooter.
yeah.
This team, they have a post player, 6'5", 6'6", big guy. They took a bad L against Broad Run, but they had played the night before. Broad Run didn't. I still think Woodson's one of the best teams that I've seen this year. I think Woodson will probably win the region. But I know, again, I haven't seen West Springfield. I respect Lake Braddock, of course. West Potomac, David's teams, as you said, are going to defend and they're going to rebound. So in the
Yeah.
postseason, that means everything. And they're not going to live and die on the three. They're going to go inside and they're going to try to get some easy buckets. So
That's a
yeah,
great point. That's really a great point with West Potomac. They don't live and die with that three. Part of that is because their 3-point ace got broke his foot.
That's right, he did. Oh, yeah.
But West Potomac keeps on rolling.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but that
No,
really
no,
was a
but
great
coach
point.
isn't. He doesn't play five shooters. He'll have guys on the team that can't shoot. So Coach Howson, he'll try different things. But let's go to the other Occoquan district, which is national, and as you mentioned, much more parity this year. Hayfield has not already clinched as they usually have in the first 5 games. Mount Vernon is 6-2 as well as Edison, and Annandale is. They had a tough loss this week to Marshall, but I've heard good things about Annandale. How are you? And Justice beat Edison this year, which is a surprise. So what are you looking at so far in the national?
Yeah, crazy stuff, crazy happenings, and it's good to see in the national, because it's been obviously just like Hayfield undefeated, in the district. Well, Edison finally beat him.
Yeah,
Edison beat Hayfield. Obviously, Hayfield's still very talented this year. Rodney Carmichael has been doing a great job. The coach's son, Rodney, has been playing real well. I mean, he's a real good forward to have for Carlos Poindexter over there. But obviously young Christian at the point guard there. Uh, the another coach's son. Sorry, there's a pattern here. These are
yeah.
all coaches' sons.
Lee and
Um,
Daryl.
yeah, yeah. And but they're young. They're still figuring some things out. They're good. They could win the Occoquan region easily. Wouldn't surprise anyone if Hayfield
Yeah,
did. But fell to Edison. The humorous part about Edison finally beating Hayfield is then Edison went out and lost 2 district games.
that's right.
Edison lost to Justice and another one, I think, to Mount Vernon. I forget who. But you're starting to see everybody beating everybody in that district too, which has not really been the case in previous years. Edison is a team to watch because a lot of their players are younger. So it's like, are they in the next month going to kind of hit their plateau? They can certainly play with the Patriot District this year. The Patriot District has historically just swamped the National District once you get the regionals, except for Hayfield. Interesting to see. Edison now kind of has been a tough out. I think they lost to South County in the playoffs last year at home. So I'm watching Edison carefully, and the rest of the district, man, is fun.
Yeah.
Mount Vernon tied with Edison there. O'Neill Alotny, uh, awesome. A big man who is just dominant over there. You have athletic guards. Mount Vernon, a little inconsistent. They're only 9-8 on the season, but certainly a dangerous team. And then, yeah, Justice has been a story. Justice has improved a lot
Yeah.
since last year.
Who's coaching?
They
Who's
have,
coaching Justice? Do you know?
oh, I forget his name.
Yeah, he's got to be
Excuse
one
me.
of the coaches of the year.
Oh, definitely. I
Yeah,
mean, definitely. He's doing a heck of a job over there, and I'm sorry, it's not it's I've lost his name in my train of thought here. But they even lost a player in the offseason, one of their big men, and they just look good. The win over Edison was amazing
yeah,
win for that program. That just gives some of these guys confidence. They have some experienced players that have been playing for a while. They're not going to win the Occoquan region or anything, but they're certainly making it interesting. And Annandale has been crazy up and down. You remember Nelson, a kid they had a few years ago. His little brother Jeremiah now is really filling it up. Again, a Player of the Week candidate last week or the week before, I forget. It was kind of a mix over both weeks. He went off. He was scoring 20 points, and Annandale held Mount Vernon to 24 points one game. Annandale was losing a bunch of games. Now, they seem to be winning. So a lot of fun in that district. Obviously, Jefferson Falls Church, winning some games, but, still working things out. And Lewis, they're just nothing there this year. They're playing their hardest, but, I mean, they're not getting it done, obviously,
yeah.
which is sad to see. But that district is finally, we're at a point at that tournament where it's not inconceivable somebody other than Hayfield can win the district tournament.
Mhm.
Again, the problem is though, if Hayfield right now at 7-1 with Edison and Mount Vernon there at 6-2, Hayfield in a much better spot in the tournament though.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Edison or Mount Vernon can catch him in the standings.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not seen Hayfield play this year. I watched a little bit online against Edison. That was a fun game to watch. Great environment
Oh
in the
yeah.
gym. Carlos Poindexter, one of the best coaches in Northern Region history. He did a great. He almost got his Hayfield team back to the state semis last year. They gave South Lakes a battle on their home court. I wouldn't count Coach Carlos and Hayfield out of that at all. Well, let's go to the Prince William first. We'll stay with Class Six, and let's go to the Cedar Run, we're the western part of the county. I think one of the bigger stories in that district starting out is Independence in its first year in Class Six, at least for a while, coming up from Class Five and coming down from Loudoun County. They're 6-2. Obviously, Patriots 8-0. They've owned this district for a while. Battlefield is 5-3, and Gainesville's 5-4.
Yeah, yeah. I did mention that in the preseason now, and I thought Independence could do fairly well. Now they're doing better than I thought they would do. As the flip side, I thought Freedom would do better in the Potomac, and they're doing worse. So, anything I'm right on, I'm wrong on in some respect.
2 steps
Yeah,
forward, 2 steps back.
yeah, well, you know how it goes. But Independence doing real well at 6-2 in the district, beating out Battlefield and Gainesville. Now Battlefield, we never thought in the preseason they'd beat out Gainesville. We never thought that because Gainesville has a lot of young players, but a lot of talent. So Brian Nelson, coach out there, I'm well aware. When I stopped coaching to do Nova Hoops. My last job was as the ninth grade coach under him at Robinson, and I saw firsthand. I learned a lot from him just watching his practices. He's a meticulous guy. He's a very, very, very good coach, and he has seniors this year. So they're getting it done. They took some lumps on early, but since then, they're 12-6 now. Not going to be Patriot. They're just probably not. But even that, under 20-point losses. He's done a great job out there. Battlefield and Gainesville out there too. Battlefield new coach doing well up and down. Really up and down, but put 83 points on Patriot the other night in that rivalry game. So they can score. They're going to be a dangerous team for whoever's playing them, I guess, out of the Cardinal, if they make regionals, because they're like that. I mean, they may not even make regionals. The Cedar Run has kind of been like the national, where you clearly have the bottom three teams still in Osborne Park, Osborne, and Unity Reed, but they've played some tight games
Yeah.
against like the Battlefields and the Gainesvilles too. So don't count any of those teams out. Osborne Park, we kind of talked about it before the year, did a really good job. They've got a really good coach, Coach West, young guy over there. Uh, Incredibly young players, like freshmen and sophomores, a lot of them, but they're good.
Yeah.
They're 4-4 in the district, I believe, 9-9 overall. So doing a great job over there. And then let's talk Patriot. I mean, Patriot, obviously the class of the district. They're going to go undefeated in the district, most likely. A superior offensive team. We've had player of the week discussions, every week here at NovaHoops.com. I think Elijah Gaskins or Sean Madrigal has been in those discussions every week. I mean, it could easily have two or three between them. Elijah getting it done, just putting up video game type stats. And, Sean hit 11 3-pointers the other night.
Wow.
Just certainly one of the best 3-point shooters in Northern Virginia. The question with them, if you want to go on and talk how far into regionals, how far in the states, is defense and rebounding, obviously. Rebounding only against some teams. Defense, again, you've mentioned it before, I think, when Battlefield scores 83 points against you, you still, I don't care what kind of tempo you're playing, you still have to go, is
Yeah,
the defense there when it needs to be? We'll see.
yeah.
But I still go by this team could certainly be a threat to go deep into the state tournament, and really knock off a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen Patriot twice. It does say something about the district if Independence could be second place this early. It's probably not the
Yep.
strongest year for the Cedar Run. There's another kid. There's Madrigal. There's a Gaskins. There's another kid, light skin black kid that's tall, about 6'4". I like him a lot too.
Does that
Patriot.
Noah Conrad, maybe the
Maybe
rebounder?
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's similar to the other players. He's not as offensive, more of a swingman, but he's longer. He guards. I like him a lot too. Sherman does a great job. I don't think this is one of his best defensive teams he's ever had. I saw them against Riverside. Riverside scored a lot of points on them, and they had a hard time in Westfield. But these guys can score the basketball, as Coach said early in the season. So they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't think they're going to. I think they're in the region with Massaponax. Well, they'll be in the same region with the other Prince. I guess what's the Commonwealth. So it will be interesting. They'll get a bye, and it'll be interesting to see how. But I would not count them out. They seem like they always get to the state playoffs, and whether they can go deeper, we'll have to wait and see. Let's go to Cardinal. Cardinal
Woo!
is very strong this year. You mentioned Garfield earlier. Surprise though, Coach Mack does a great job at Forest Park, but they've hit a lull in their season. They lost on the home floor to Riverside, which maybe they just were having an off night at home, and it's non-district. But Riverside is not as strong as they were last year. But they lost by 35 to Woodbridge. I saw this on your site. I wasn't sure about it, so I went to the Washington Post. I'm like, I think Chris has got this wrong. And the Washington Post had the same. And then I went to the Max Preps. It was the same. They lost. This is a Woodbridge team they beat earlier in the year, and a Woodbridge team Oakton beat by 30. I saw that game. It's not one of the strongest. Woodbridge has got some talent, but that is a result that I was concerned about.
So you saying that makes me laugh so hard because I came home and I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's not right." What that score? It's just no way. And I thought about it. I go, I guess it could be right. I mean, Woodbridge is pretty good, and but to hold them to 30, I still don't have the correct score. Like it's either 65-28 or 65-30. It was one of those two, something like that. But then Coach Mack or whoever runs the Forest Park account DM'd me and goes, "Hey, here's the score," and I'm like, "Dang." It's like because I was exactly like you. I was like, maybe you. I love that you say maybe Chris got this wrong because Chris was going, "This can't be right." So that was another flooring result. We were at the Broad One Run game, obviously. I'll talk about Coach Aaron in a minute and his squad. Forest Park has arrived faster than we thought it would happen.
Yeah.
They have young guards, Vargas over there, and some of their younger players. Their posts, they've got talent though, but they're very young. Except with the exception of one senior, two seniors actually, and they're starting, but Antonio Jones really pours in the points for them. But they won the Wakefield tournament and got a ton of confidence. And then they won some big games in the district, and they arrived quicker than scheduled. Now, quicker than advertised. Now, what comes with that is some back to reality moments, maybe, where they still have a ton of work to do. And if they don't do that work, they're going to go in the playoffs like they did last year.
Mm.
Um, so Coach Mack, I mean, though, has obviously done a fantastic job. I mean, obviously, certainly you talk about Coach of the Year candidates. Coach Mack, barring a complete collapse, has to be considered one of the candidates for Coach of the Year, as is obviously Coach Bell at Garfield, who
Mhm.
has his team atop that district at 7-1. Forest Park's still right behind him at 7-2, even with the Woodbridge loss, though. And even Potomac, who has lost these big games, got swept by Garfield at 6-3 in the district, and now Woodbridge with Coach. He's got an athletic team, also a lot of young pieces. But that's a statement win in itself. I mean, there's no doubt that's Coach Aaron's best win of his tenure. I mean, I don't care, even if Forest Park wasn't playing that well,
Yeah.
before this, that was an impressive win. I'm kind of like you. I chalk that Riverside loss up to just, hey,
Yeah.
it's a back to back. We talked about it before too. Some of these Saturday games where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever, it's a Saturday game. Well, you know what? Then don't schedule it. Just or schedule it at another time
Yeah.
because these are meant to be like serious tests where your iron sharpens iron. And I'm not saying that about Forest Park Riverside necessarily. We'll see what happens after this snowstorm too, when we have a lot of rescheduling and you have to play a lot of back-to-backs or whatever. But yeah, the district is fun. Colgan isn't bad. Lost Evan Fleming, to Potomac, I believe. And, it's still at 4-5 in the district, 11-7 overall, doing a pretty good job there. That's the district where they don't mess around. They eliminate you early. So, you got to be ready to play. It's a fun district. It's the question is now as we prop up Garfield, who is now 18-1. Inside Nova covers this district pretty well.
It does. Yeah.
They have a guy named Ty Moore, I believe. They did an article on him on Garfield recently. I hope I got that. I know he's Ty. His last name sort of escapes me now. He was a junior on JV last year. Garfield doesn't have the depth some of the other programs have. Potomac, hasn't hit its stride yet. I'm still a big believer in Potomac. They're at 13-6 right now, I believe, and the morale might be a little like, oh, Potomac just doesn't have it this year. I think they could still have it.
Yeah.
I really do, and I believe in Coach Mills over there. But Garfield, doesn't have the depth Potomac and some of these other
Mm.
programs have, and they're getting it done because of stories like that. You got the Bell brothers that are just killing it, but you have some depth on that team this year, and that's made all the difference. They can beat anybody, and they can maybe get upset by Herndon, though,
That's
and
right.
that's the year we're living in.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Potomac. I saw the Woodson game. Woodson just destroyed them. But again, I've learned to discount these Saturday one-day showdowns, showcases because they don't seem to meet. The gyms are empty. It's a neutral court.
Yeah.
Potomac is very impressive visually. And they look deep. They just again, when I saw them, they didn't play well. And when that happens to you, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, you kind of throw it out and you kind of don't. When
Yeah.
Broad Run beat South County by 30
Yeah.
plus, you're like, okay, South County played Woodson the night before. They're like, whatever. It's a Saturday morning AAU type game. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Saturday afternoon. But you don't throw it out. And I still think Potomac has a lot of upside, but, it's time to start getting some wins.
Yeah. Well, speaking of wins, let's go to the Loudoun County, and let's go to the Potomac District, which is the five. I think it's the 5D, Class 5D. Um, this is a surprisingly tough district this year. Potomac Falls is 7-1. That's no surprise. Stonebridge is undefeated, and I've seen them twice. I saw them without their football players, and they beat Riverside without their football, but and then they got three starters off the football field, maybe four. They are a deep team. Um, these are intense people. Their fans get into it. And then Light Ridge, they lost their best player to Paul VI this year, but
Yeah.
they've been tough the last few weeks. I wouldn't count them out. Riverside's only 2-5 in the conference, but they have Max Lawson who's going to Mary Washington, and they share the ball. Definitely a solid team. What do you think about the Potomac?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can beat anybody. You look at the other night, Friday night, and Briar Woods took Potomac Falls to overtime
Oh,
on their
that's
home
right. Yeah.
floor. So, I mean, it's a district where you're gonna have upsets, probably.
Yeah.
I've already briefly talked about Freedom. To be honest, I think they should be doing better than they are. 2-6, 8-10. Now, I don't know if they missed some kid missed a couple games with an injury or whatever. So I don't want to talk, with my limited knowledge. And I also haven't seen Lightridge. I got to go see Lightridge and take a look at Lightridge because what they've done is a big story. 4-3 in the district after losing Farrell to PVI. I mean, that's something. That's a good job by them. So I want to go take a look at Lightridge. I'm not going to talk here about them, when I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a look at them. Stonebridge is a story. Potomac Falls, we know what we have. They're going to be there. They're good. Their backcourt is very good. Uh, at Potomac Falls is a difficult place to play. Um, yeah, Stonebridge is a team that we're starting to look at. We moved them into our rankings last week. Do they have signature wins? Not many signature wins yet. But they have a kid named Kevin Reyes that just pours it in. He's a really good underrated guard who needs to get more headlines. And we'll cover that district soon. We'll give him some headlines, but we're talking other publications need to get I'm never at fault, as you know.
Exactly.
Other publications need to give him
They need to
headlines.
step it up. Nova Legends need to step it up. 'Cause
We
I
all
live
need to
out here.
step it up, man. Uh, yeah, the football players have made a difference. And Stonebridge has got kids on that other team that are sneaky good, seniors that can play. Carter Burns is a good guard that people don't. Well, if Reyes, they're not talking about enough. They're not talking about Carter Burns enough.
Yeah.
This kid does it all. He's smart. He's kind of a taller guard who can hit the three, score, just knows how to play basketball. They've got, good guys like Nate Hughes coming off the bench, a senior who can rebound to complement those football guys who can definitely rebound. Golston, I believe,
Mhm.
is the football kid's name, has a bunch of D1 scholarship offers in football. Stonebridge is a team we're watching. Do we start going, could they, surprise some of those beach teams coming up? Could they surprise some of those Richmond teams if they get the states? Maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. The district is fascinating. As we mentioned, Briar Woods, excuse me, a lot of, having a terrible season record-wise, 5-13, took Potomac Falls to overtime.
Mhm.
Got a sophomore guard named Finn Gardner who can score a ton. Got the kid going to Hood at the point guard. What is it, Pettibone, I
Yeah.
believe. My names are starting to escape my head as we go later and later into these. My names get terrible,
Me
so
too.
forgive me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting district, and that'll be another fun one, in gyms, home gyms in Riverside, man. Don't count them out.
No.
Like you said, I won't go into it much, but Max Lawson, you better limit him first and then just hope the other Riverside kids aren't hitting.
Exactly. Max is doing great. He's a great kid. I want to shout out Potomac Falls. Josh Orbita continues to impress. They have two kids come off the bench. I don't know their names. One of them is number 23. Kind of
Hmm.
a he's a kind of a long player. I like this kid. He jumps really well. And number 44 is a really nice shooter off the bench. Coach has got a
Yeah.
very deep team. I would put Stonebridge with the Loudon Big Three with Heritage, Tuscarora, and Broad Run. I would put Stonebridge with those in terms of. I mean, they're five, so they're a bigger school, but they're right there in the conversation to be one of the most talented teams. I don't know if they're like the most as basketball talented as those teams, but man, they have some athletes. They work hard. They are going to be a factor. I mean, I'm sure there's some great 7-5-7 Class 5 teams. That's where their strength is, like Woodside, and I'm sure that's a different level. But I definitely think around here, Stonebridge is really tough. Let's
Yeah. And I would even put Potomac Falls as a team that can beat those teams
exactly.
because of Coach Hawes and the
Yeah,
depth that they have in that program.
absolutely. So, well, let's go to Dulles. Dulles maybe the toughest, believe it or not, if not the toughest district in Northern Virginia, the most balanced. All five teams have winning records. In the past, we or last year we would probably talk about Heritage and Tuskegee, and Dominion Well, Valley's always tough, but Dominion and Rock Ridge are teams we probably haven't talked about that much in a few years. I've seen Loudon Valley twice. They get after it. They can shoot. They got this kid named Aiden. Forgot his name. He's a
O'Connor, I believe.
O'Connor, really good player, 6'3", uh, can fill it up, can go to the hole. I like this kid. They have this kid named Macklin, something that just gets after it. Great football player. Love this kid, Mac. One of my favorite players. Not technically that advanced, but man, all around, he just gets after it tough. You can tell he probably plays football a lot, but he's a good basketball player. Haven't seen Rockridge. And then Watuski, obviously, we have Colin Bird, the kid signed with Grambling yesterday. Congratulations to Colin. He's had a long road to the Division One, but he deserves it. And Heritage, we opened up with a huge win. Shots fired at Broad Run. They're 3-0 in that district. So that's my overview. Let's get in deep. What do you think about the Dulles?
Yeah, a shout out first to Dominion Valley and Rockridge because they're well coached, good teams with solid players, solid programs, really. All three of those programs, I would say, are doing a good job. I think they're all at 500 or slightly above
I think so.
500
I think so.
overall. Um, so that's a good district, a solid district, five-team district. Obviously, Heritage and Tuscarora are the teams to beat, though. Tuscarora with Colin Bird, and yeah, congratulations to him to get the scholarship to Grambling. It's proof again that you can go to these public schools and be absolutely fine as far as your next level choice. In fact, maybe get more press. Because I mean, Ball to Six, as great as they are, when they get the blowouts, they play, all the kids. And, some of the younger kids obviously are developing in practice more than they do in games. But, that was a good move for Colin Bird, I think, to go back to Tuscarora. He leads that team, and they've got talented guards. They took some losses early in the year. You didn't hear much about them because they schedule a lot of like West Virginia teams that are pretty good, though. They beat the other Tuscarora in Maryland, which
Mhm.
was good to see in the Battle of the
Yeah,
Tuscaroras.
Battle of the
But they've
Tuskies.
been scheduling fairly tough. Their schedule, Mike out there has done a good job scheduling. So obviously, even though they came up short in the first game versus Heritage, the next one could be completely different. We'll see. And we've already talked about Heritage, man. I watched their JV team too, before you got there. I like some of the kids on the JV team as contributors to the varsity next year. So what you're seeing there is you're seeing some depth. Obviously, a lot of their players are juniors. So they're going to be back next year. Not all. There are some senior contributors that are doing well this year for Heritage. But that's a team that just has more upside, period. More upside. And they flash that upside. Dylan Williams, shout out to him. I couldn't even track it. I said he got 10 assists in the article. I think Heritage came out and said he got 13. I believe Heritage more than me because you saw how fast that game was going. I mean, he was getting in the lane at will, distributing. And then in the fourth quarter, when when Broad Run was like, okay, maybe we'll make one last run at this, he got in the lane and he scored in the fourth quarter. Heritage got to the rim, and too bad Tuscarora doesn't have the kid from the beach. What was it, Joshua Fegan from last year who
Yeah,
graduated? Because if you have a rim protector against Heritage, it helps a lot. And
it does.
now, the class four road is not an easy road
No.
at all. You got Hanley out there that isn't healthy. You got EC Glass, right?
Yeah,
I think they're class four.
yeah,
I get the
yeah,
teams
yeah. They're four
confused
in
out of it.
Verina.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
Only undefeated team left in Virginia.
yeah,
And I apologize if I'm wrong on that, but I think I'm right. I think Glass is class four. Um, so it's a tough road.
yeah.
Last year, Heritage got dominated once they got to states. But this year, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Have they realized their enormous upside? Perhaps.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I want to shout out for Heritage. Alex Cox coming off serious injury. He's getting minutes. Again, he
Yeah.
was all region player last year. He's gonna help them down the stretch. He's still not starting, but it's great to see Alex back. Tuscarora, their big guy's back. I think he's been out most of the year.
Oh.
6'5", 6'6" kid, good player.
So
He's
I didn't know that. That's important.
he's been out. He's been out. I can't think of his name, but he's a solid player. His brother played as well. And then Charles Battaglia is
Yeah,
also a good
Chaz.
swingman. Baseball, I think
Yeah.
he's a baseball player at Tuscarora, good player as well. I'm glad you mentioned Dylan again from Heritage. Dylan is, I think we take him for granted sometimes because he seems like he's been here for a while. But I will say, if his outside shot is falling like it was against Bar Run, it makes them very tough to guard. If you try to give him you may try to give him the outside shot and kind of pack it in because he's such a good passer. But when he's shooting so well, that's going to be a really tough matchup for anybody in
Yeah, and
class.
I think we discussed it before the year, like his decision whether he needs to score or whether he needs to distribute. Man, he did all that right against
Yeah,
Broad Run. In the fourth quarter, he decided to score.
exactly.
But before that, he was racking up dimes like all game long and, just doing a fantastic job. I got a chance to briefly talk to him after the game.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, they have a kid named Liam, number 15, that started last year.
Hmm.
This year he's off the bench. He also had a big performance against Broad Run. So shout out to Liam as well. So let's go to the other four region up in Northern Virginia, the 4C Catoctin. Uh, Not much data here, Chris. They haven't played yet. I don't think there's much to talk about. I think it's a battle is probably for second. Woodgrove, they seem to have the advantage over County. I think County played them tough. But anyway, what do you think about the Catoctin? At least, how does the rest of the card fill out?
Yeah, my question right now is Loudoun County's looked fairly good the last couple games. They're 3-12. They beat Rock Ridge by 10 the other
Yeah,
night. And I'm
that's
like, well, did the football players, take like a month off before they started to
right.
play? I mean, what's going on over there? I don't know. Or are they just developing their young players? I'm not sure. I'd like to know that answer. If anyone wants to hit me up, I'd like to cover them if I have chance. So we'll see with them, but until now they haven't been, they've been kind of a punching bag. So in Parkview, obviously, they'll gut out some wins. They'll. I watched a little bit of them playing, and now I can't even remember who they were playing. That's the crazy part. I was watching them like 2 nights ago or last night or something like that. They have a tough time scoring, but they can give a game to some people. But you're looking at obviously Broad Run and Woodgrove probably atop that district. Woodgrove lost by 15 to Tuscarora the other night. Some young players he's developing over there. So it really hurt when they lost, obviously, Marsh, their rock in the middle of last year. When you have that guy in the middle to just be that rock, that's kind of why I like Nate Macomb and Lake Braddock so much, is because it really helps. But they've got talent over there, and I would think that Woodgrove, once it comes playoff time, might be able to bother one of the Broad Run, Tuscarora, or Heritage in a game if they can control pace as they want and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Again, they lost by 15 to Tuscarora the other night. And then you got Broad Run, who was rolling, 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 rolling until the other night. Still, I look at Broad Run as nothing but a state title contender,
Yeah.
however, because just look at what they have. I mean, Ryan Brzezinski is, I mean, he scored 13. He's capable alone, as he's proven this year, of dropping 40 on teams.
Yeah.
Adam Purdue is a fantastic player who isn't going to go 0 for 8 probably ever again from 3-point range in his high school career. And they've got Ben Bowl also over there, another senior, a proven senior, and you like the Edmonds kid who was in foul trouble the other night. I like him a lot too. And they've
He's
got
only a sophomore.
yeah, yeah. So we're going to be talking about him for a while. It could be a really good thing that they lost to Heritage if they treat it as such. If they don't let it get in their heads, because it really is just a throwaway game. Okay. So what? It's January. We lost. We know we can play with these guys. So what? I would love to see Broad Run make a run towards the state title.
Yeah. I would have said before Friday's game that Broad Run may be the best team I've seen all year, other than Westfield, and I would have put them in the same league as Westfield. That obviously that loss put a bad memory in my mind, but it's one game. I do think Brandon Edmonds is a terrific young guard. They play great team ball. They have guys on the bench. Didn't play that great necessarily on Friday, but they have a deep team. They have a six
Yeah.
five kid that looks like a little Ryan Brzezinski that's been hurt. He played this Friday, played well. They're a deep team, and I think Ryan, who had 40 against South County, 35 against Woodson, he's a tremendous player.
Yeah.
Mount Saint and good kid. Mount St. Mary's
Yeah.
has got a great
They
kicking.
were there to watch him Friday night. And can I give one shout out to Broad Run too, to
Sure,
their
sure.
JV coach for hyping up the crowd before the game?
Yeah.
Like I said, man, if you got a JV coach that'll hype up the crowd before the game like that, he's worth it just for that alone.
After that, they had nothing to cheer for the rest of the
Well,
game.
yeah, I know. It was kind of depressing.
They just sat there waiting for something to cheer for. It was a huge crowd. Let's quickly just talk about. I saw that Meridian lost to Fauquier on this week. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Just update us on Fauquier. Well, definitely Meridian, Brentsville, those maybe even Hanley. Those teams.
Yeah, so you got, in the Northwest District, you got the Class 4 and Class 3 teams. We've been lazy the past couple years. We just launch them in together in the standings, and don't separate them. I think we'll separate them next year for some because their actual district records on our site, I think, are only to Class 3 and Class 4.
Okay.
They're different than some of the other districts. They do it horribly, by the way, the Northwestern District. I don't even want to talk about that. But a lot of intriguing teams in there on the guys' side. But yeah, Skyline, Meridian lost a ton. Can you get me there? My
Yeah,
internet's going in and out.
yeah, yeah.
Meridian lost a ton from last year, but they're playing well. Will Davis is their main guy. Again, a player of the week candidate last week because he can fill it up, especially from long range. But yeah, that was an eye-opening score when Fauquier beat them. Fauquier having a nice season at I think 9-6 overall. Skyline proving they can beat John Hanley. John Hanley's still a good team, even without Will over there. So we'll see how that goes. You got Millbrook there too in Class 4. Millbrook and Hanley in Class 4. Millbrook beat Hanley the other night. So it's getting to the point with John. John Hanley is the big story because John Hanley's goal this year was a state title. Now with the injury and with some of these teams beating the other guys, and they've got great talent even with the injury. Javon Briscoe is a very good player. I believe Javon. I get them confused, but I believe Briscoe is going to Virginia Union to play in Richmond there next year. Um, Very good team. So we'll see. I want to get out there a little more in the coming weeks to be able to give you a little more intelligent report. So, because I don't think I've seen any of those teams live yet.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, Chris, this has been great as always. Let's answer Coach Patterson's question. It's hard to give state semifinalists because I don't know how they're bracketed. But let's give who are your predicted region winners for class six.
Well, you're going Westfield. You have to go Westfield for one. So let's do the octagon. Let me do it real quick in my mind here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go. This is gonna shock some people. I'm gonna go Hayfield.
Well,
Yeah.
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 What?
You know why? I don't know why. I think that people are going to overlook them, and I think they have some upside that they're going to realize in the next month. I couldn't even pick a Patriot District winner, much less, who's going to win the regional out of there. But obviously, we've talked about the five teams that are dangerous there, and then I'm on the Patriot bandwagon. I love Garfield. Garfield's going to be there. People are already starting to think, Patriot Garfield, will that be like 107 to 104 game?
Oh,
And I'm starting to think that way too. Don't count out Potomac. I'm just going to say that right now. And then, we didn't talk about the Commonwealth District. Massaponax, kind of dangerous coming out of there. Brook Point has a kid, TJ Wilkerson, smaller guards. I think you saw him in the playoffs last year, the regionals.
hmm.
Very dangerous. So, don't count out something like Colonial Forge did last year, beating Forest Park by 20.
Yeah.
Obviously, Diedrich Gilreath, a very competent coach down there. So, did I give the prediction? I think I went Patriot, Westfield, Hayfield.
Yeah. So I don't think I can um, get too far away from your picks. I think you probably nailed it. Westfield's is pretty safe. I'm going to pick Yorktown to face them in the regional final and also advance to state. And I'm going to say I'm going to go with Woodson in the Occoquan. I don't know that second spot. It's going to be very tough, but I still think Woodson is one of the best teams I've seen this year. I'm going to stick with Patriot. I have not seen Garfield, but Patriots' pedigree of getting to the state playoff speaks for itself. So I think it's safe. They won a lot of games. They can score a lot of points. I think if they're shooting well, I don't know how you beat that team. And then I'm going to go with Lansdowne, just because of that effort against Petersburg, and I believe I saw them beat Patriot this year. Was that last year or this year? I think I saw them beat Patriot this year. I saw them in person last year against South Lakes in the state semifinals. Really like that. The coach and his son at Lansdowne are tremendous. So, uh, anyway, real quick, Chris, let's wrap us up. Just give us a 2-minute private school update.
Yeah, I mean, the private schools are rolling. This kind of was a private school year to begin with. Paul the Six is 19-2, or maybe I missed a game in there. They're rolling. I've seen O'Connell twice now. What a fun team to watch. I mean, Darius Bivens, I said it on the site. Darius Bivens scored 24th quarter points to come back to win over a good Bishop Ireton team, who also has a guy, that freaking scored, I think, 17 fourth quarter points. So Silas Devonish. The WCIC is Northern Virginia centric almost this year. Paul the Six, I think, beat Gonzaga by like 20 points the other day. So you got that. Then you got Potomac School having a good year in the MAC. They're 5-2 in the MAC. And the story so far is Episcopal, who is playing real well. They're, I think, seventh in our Nova 19. Beat the pants off St. Stephen St. Agnes the other night. To give you an idea of that, St. Stephen St. Agnes beat Hayfield by like 20 or 30 points, I believe, earlier in the year.
That's right.
Episcopal beat them by like 17 the other night. So you got that, and then you got Fairfax Christian doing real well. Only two losses all year, both to Grace Christian. You got Highland, who's lost a few games this year, a few more games. Obviously, they lost a legendary senior class there, but they're playing in the Elite Prep League, doing well. And I think I'm well over your 30 seconds now. So
No, no, yeah. So I think you have them all. Did you cover Evergreen? Are they decent this year?
I haven't covered them yet, but yeah, they're pretty good. They're in this conference called the MPSC, and I'm going to have to do their standings next year. It has Evergreen, Virginia Academy, and Highland,
Oh,
uh, and Fairfax, not Fair, yes, Fairfax Christian. I'm sorry.
yeah,
So that's, yeah, the Evergreen's doing well, real well. Mason Ridgeway with transferred there, and then you got a D1 guy, Valencia, who's their center, who's going to Delaware next year,
yeah,
doing well.
yeah. I caught Virginia Academy one game. That they're over here near me. They have a kid.
Good team.
Yeah, good team. Losing record, but they're playing tough competition. Their point guard's going to Marymount, I believe, and
Correct. RJ Jones, he's been there for a while. I think he started Osborne Park many moons ago.
yeah, I like him. Tal Rose coming in from Loudoun Valley, he's having a good season. Definitely see some good things from them, and he's building. They got a beautiful gym, so it looks like they're building something special out there as well. So look, Chris, this has been great, man. Are you you haven't moved into your house yet, so you might not have to shovel any today. Is that right?
No, I probably won't. I did a good job getting to the grocery store. I'm well stocked up and I'm ready to just do work. I'm going to do Nova Hoops work today
Yeah.
and then just watch the NFL playoffs.
Oh,
And
that's right.
then,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah, since I'm a fully remote worker, I'll be working tomorrow, Monday.
Yeah,
So,
me too. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, cool. Hey, Chris, man, thanks for all your great work. It was a pleasure watching the game with you the other night. I think the fact that we both were there, people like to think that the games are being covered. So I think
yeah,
it sent a good message that we both showed up at and we didn't even call each other. We just both found ourselves in the same gym.
I
But always
like that
great.
I saw you before you saw me for the
Yeah.
first
I'm
time,
glad.
maybe ever.
Yeah, you had great seats. But I do appreciate all the hard work you do, the indispensable basketball source. Let's catch up later on, and maybe we can do a playoff preview as well.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Yeah.
Julian.
All right,
Thanks
Chris.
for everything you do.
Sounds great. Thanks, Chris. Have a good one.